Hi everyone, I'm Robina.
And I'm Layla.
Welcome back to our channel, Nutrition Unpacked,
where we try diets so you don't have to.
We are officially wrapping up an entire month of being plant-based.
Yeah.
We did 2 weeks of vegetarian and now we're in the final phase of veganism.
It's been a long but a short month.
You had a much harder time with this than paleo, which kind of blows my mind.
But you know what? To be fair, paleo was our first one, so maybe I was like a little bit
I think the opposite was for me, because paleo what felt harder because it was like the first one where I'm like, oh my god, I'm having to like deal with these external rules that I don't enjoy.
And I have to say, like, I have failed a little bit, as we talked about last week, in my journey as a vegan, and it's literally just because like my brain wasn't doing its thing of thinking about things.
I've been actually very grateful, I think, for the last 4 weeks. It's made me realize I could be a lot more plant-based than I'd given myself credit for before. Because like before I'd be like,
well, you know, I like sushi, and like when I go to a restaurant, like I don't really like the vegan or vegetarian options.
But like really more than 90% of my meals are probably prepared at home by me, and those meals are actually pretty easy to make plant-based, the meals that I have control over. I actually had my family over for dinner last night and it was super fine serving a vegan meal. I don't even know if anyone would have particularly noticed, like if I didn't share that everything that I made was vegan. I really haven't been thinking about meat. Is this something that I'm actively missing?
Absolutely. I think that's the key point, is that like I feel like I could be a lot more plant-based, and I think that would be good for my well-being and my financial well-being, because it actually tends to be a lot cheaper.
Much cheaper.
Meat's probably like, when I'm cooking at home, meat is probably the major expense of my meals, and also it's a good opportunity to be a little bit more creative,
and it's not less enjoyable. Gonna make a lima bean and mushroom stew for dinner tonight. Oh my gosh, honestly, considering how few like seasonings and stuff is in this is incredibly flavorful. Holy.
The vegetarian was easier to feel that way. The vegan, I don't know. I think that without a lot of planning, I did feel like, oh my god, what am I gonna eat?
It seemed like you were struggling.
I was struggling. I was. That's honestly more of a me issue and my like lack of planning.
But you came through.
I'm just gonna show you guys a quick little snacky, lunchy thing I'm having, which is a little avocado toast. I know Robina's always talking about her avocado toast. This one without egg, obviously, but I love a good avocado on toast, and I put some little seeds on it. Yum.
You made some good looking meals.
Love beans and legumes, and I really enjoy the opportunity to expand my bean and legume repertoire.
Now I really like tofu.
Yeah, actually I do really like tofu.
It's so tasty and it's so fun because you can do so many random things with it.
And we got some Thai food, and I've been very actually impressed with Thai cuisine because there's a lot of vegan options. So I got this vegan pad thai, and on the first bite it tastes very good. It just doesn't have like the eggs or the meat in it, and it has tofu, but still has a very tasty pad thai flavor.
So in our first vegan video, we really talked about some of the health effects that we see with those that do a vegan diet. Last time we dove deep into the experiences of being a vegan. Today we're actually going to talk about some niche forms of veganism. You know, as you guys know, veganism eliminates all animal flesh and any type of food that comes from animals, but there are a subset of vegans that take it even further than that. Fruitarians, raw vegans, Ostrovegans, and Freegans.
We talked a lot about the reasons for people being vegan in general, but you can see with a lot of these different types of vegans how people take those same reasonings and kind of maybe apply them a little bit further.
Let's talk about fruitarians first. Honestly, I love fruit. I love fruit. I gotta say, with all of these diets that we've been doing, I'm so glad that none of them have required me to have to give up fruit. They're one of my go-to snacks, and I'm so grateful that I haven't had to give up any of them. But
I don't know if I can only eat fruit. And to be fair,
they don't have to eat only fruit.
And what many fruitarians think of as fruit is like the botanical definition of fruit. So it's not just like apples and bananas. They can eat seeds and legumes and stuff like that.
The primary motivation for a lot of vegans is to minimize harm on animals. Fruitarians kind of just take that even further and want to minimize harm to all living things, I guess, including plants. And when you think about a plant, when you just like pick a fruit from the plant, the plant can still continue to produce more fruit and flourish and continue to live. In contrast to when you think about like a root vegetable, where you are more or less preventing the plant from continuing to live.
Even when we're talking about like other kinds of vegetables like leaves, when you have to remove those from the plant, you actually can be harming it. It seems like a lot of vegans have a lot of empathy for nature, the environment, and animals, so this is kind of just an extension of that.
Raw vegan diet for over 7 years, and this is what I eat. Look at that. For breakfast, I had these hydrating lemony yellow dragon fruits with an epic view. I hiked to this beautiful waterfall and of course had to take a dip in the super refreshing water. This is a spiky and smelly durian. Very satisfying, a little bit sticky in the mouth. Super sweet, you know, like you would whip sugar, right, with butter. Like that thickness, you know what I mean? Really nice. I love this fruit. I could eat it every day. I actually ate this fruit once for 6 months on end with nothing else. Dinner came from far away in a mystery package. Look at this super special fruit. This is called Major Jenkins palm fruit, or also Macao. This fruit is super rare. It has a big seed with a thin layer of flesh. You'll never believe this, but this fruit tastes like smoked sausage.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that. Fruits are so beautiful. I had no idea that was the texture of durian.
Yeah, I've only ever smelled a durian and that's really like turned me off.
It's hard to believe that that smell could be associated with something sweet. But that dragon fruit in the beginning looked
delicious.
Beautiful.
This guy is very extreme in his fruitarian ways because he is only eating fruit all day.
But he seems so joyful about it.
He's just like living his life on the beach at the waterfall.
Gonna go hang out at this waterfall today, go have some fresh fruit. I don't know, he seems like he's thriving. Fruits, very nutrient dense. Fruits tend to be high in fiber, vitamin A, vitamin C, potassium, and people that eat fruits regularly, that does seem to be associated with a lot of positive health outcomes. But fruits also are lacking in a lot of other important nutrients like protein, calcium, iron, zinc, omega-3, omega-6. Including fruits in a diet is fabulous. I'm all for it. But including other foods as well would be a good way to go. And to be fair, like we said, people in the fruitarian community, it seems like they're not even promoting or encouraging people to eat only fruit.
I went to the good people at Reddit to see what they were saying about the fruitarian diet. I went to r/fruitarianism. It actually seems a lot more flexible than I thought it was, especially when you see some of these influencers online. So they say that a fruitarian diet is a diet which consists mostly of fruits. We are a vegan community. We do not condone detoxes, fasting, or starvation. One's diet does not need to be 100% fruit or even 100% raw. Eating enough calories is of utmost importance. 2,000 or more calories a day for females and 2,500 or more calories a day for males minimum. So honestly, it's like a very balanced take. They're not condoning fasting, detoxes, some of these like really trendy things that we see. Kind of gives me like a more chill view of the fruitarian.
Absolutely. I appreciate that they are saying, hey, getting enough energy, and I mean, they're not talking about specific nutrients, but it does seem like, hey, your health does matter. Make sure you're getting enough calories throughout the day. You know, I think over the last few years, especially with social media being such a prominent presence in our lives, a lot of us have been exposed to very specific fruitarians that have made a splash. I think the one that is probably the most infamous representative of the fruitarians, at least in my view, is Freely the Banana Girl.
I saw one video from Freely where she ate 51 bananas in a day, and that was all she ate. I've also seen another video where she very much advocates for periods of time where you only eat one fruit for like a period of several weeks. When people talk about like the so-called crazy vegan, she is someone that people tend to point to.
Certain fruitarians like Freely, I think they're definitely maybe not in the same camp as the people of the Reddit fruitarian community. With her, there are a lot of maybe even harmful messages that come with her sharing her lifestyle. There's one video where she kind of talked about how she's lost her period before on the raw vegan diet, and then there was a period where she wasn't solely raw vegan, I think, where she was including other foods, where her period came back, but she was describing that as maybe being a undesirable change of events.
So when I first came to 100% raw food diet, raw vegan diet, that was back in 2007, January. And as soon as I came onto the lifestyle, like within the first month, I lost my period. It was gone. And I was like, yes, get out of here. I don't want to see it ever again. Don't come back now, you hear? So what I feel is that my period, when I took out the meat and dairy and the junk food, my body finally had the energy the vitality to start cleaning house, to start balancing out my hormones. And a lot of people are like, oh, but that's unhealthy. No, you need your period. What's going on? You know, that's terrible. But is it? Well, a lot of people don't know. And all I can go on is my instincts and my feeling at the time that it felt good. It felt right. And at the time, I think it needed to happen for my body to balance out. And I still believe that largely menstruation is toxicity leaving the body.
But she was describing that time of having no periods as a time where she felt really good, really healthy, which are also important markers for sure. But there was some, I think, harmful messaging in there where she was kind of talking about a heavy period as your body's way of getting rid of excess toxicity.
To the best of my scientific knowledge, that is actually not true. And in fact, when we see a loss of a menstrual period, that's actually a huge concern to me as a practitioner. It tends to tell me that people may not be getting enough nutrition in. And my concern when someone like Freely puts that kind of messaging out, like,
If you have your periods because your body is filled with toxins,
it's concerning because it might put people on the path to restricting their caloric intake and thinking it's a good thing when they lose their period. And I don't feel like there's any other bodily function where like if you just stop that, you'd be like, yeah, that's a good thing.
Another notable fruitarian, Steve Jobs.
Yeah, I didn't know this until I was looking this up. Steve Jobs was a fruitarian in his college years and in his later years. There is some speculation that perhaps Steve Jobs is someone who maybe fell victim to this narrative of the fruitarian diet helping with cancer, wherein after he got his diagnosis, it has been reported that he tried to use this fruitarian vegan diet to treat it and actually put off his surgery in favor of that.
This is the top 3 fruits to eat when you're low in iron. When it comes to fruits rich in iron, your best bet is fruits with a strong pigment like red dragon fruits. Iron plays a crucial role in transporting oxygen throughout your body. It has been estimated that 30% of the world's population is deficient in iron, making it the most common nutrient deficiency worldwide. And dragon fruit is one of the fruits that is very rich in iron. Number 2, one of the best fruits for boosting your iron levels is pomegranate. This fruit is said to be one of the healthiest and most nutrient-rich fruits on the planet for a reason. Pomegranate is one of the richest sources of iron, and those with low iron levels are often recommended to drink a glass of pomegranate juice daily. And at number 1 we have strawberries. They are not only delicious and high in iron, they also contain a lot of vitamin C, which helps the body absorb iron even better. A study showed that eating a meal of high vitamin C fruits together with iron-rich foods can raise iron absorption by as much as 400%.
I don't know if this is like kind of a game of telephone gone kind of partially wrong. When he talked about the strawberries, he did mention that the vitamin C content can be helpful with iron absorption, and that part absolutely is true. But of course, for that to take place, that iron-rich food also needs to be there at the same time. I will say that what you had mentioned about the pomegranate, it does seem like there's some Ayurvedic medicine practices that promote drinking pomegranate juice as a way to combat iron deficiency. There is some in vitro research that does suggest, again, that pomegranate juice can be helpful with iron absorption, but again, that iron piece also needs to be there in order to reap the benefits.
As much as there may be some truth behind what he's saying, where these foods can help you absorb more iron, this could be harmful to someone who is perhaps having iron deficiency, which could be quite common in people who are following his fruitarian diet that he's promoting here. People might have iron deficiency, which can lead to anemia and all kinds of other negative health effects, and then say, oh, I'm gonna have a pomegranate juice instead of something that's actually high in iron. All this to say, the fruitarian diet definitely has lots of really healthy components. However, there may be a large risk of deficiency. So if you are interested in doing the fruitarian diet, it is definitely advisable to maybe work with a registered dietitian to make sure that you're getting all your nutrients in, and also to give yourself that flexibility that you see a little bit more of. Look at the like fruitarian Reddit rather than these like fruitarian influencers, if that makes sense.
Next, let's talk about raw vegans. This philosophy, I think, is coming more from a health perspective, less so from an ethical standpoint. And it's essentially this idea that, you know, cooking foods above 40 to 49 degrees Celsius is going to degrade some of the nutrients in it and compromise the health promoting effects of eating these foods. Part of it comes from this idea that like humans are kind of the only mammals that go out of our way to cook our food, so maybe it's not very natural, it's not what our ancestors did, I don't know. There seems to be like this romanticization of kind of getting back to what our quote unquote our ancestors did. In my view, even if we were to accept that this is what our ancestors ate, to me that's not evidence that, oh, that means that that's what's best for us now. It could certainly be a hypothesis that has enough merit to be worth exploring, but it's not in and of itself evidence.
I also want to highlight the fact that from an anthropological perspective, it's believed that human beings cooking food is actually what made us to be the species that's on top right now. It's through cooking food we were able to absorb more of the nutrition, our brains could grow more, and we could think better and form these complex societies because we had more capacity, because we had more energy and nutrients from the food we were getting because we could cook the food.
While it is true that there are some nutrients that do degrade in high heat, for example, vitamin C, there are actually other nutrients that are more bioavailable when they're cooked, like vitamin A. Like we say in pretty much every one of our videos, I think we need to make sure we're getting a variety, not only a variety of foods in our diet, but also a variety of preparation methods in our diet to really maximize that nutritional impact.
There's an idea that cooking food reduces the enzymes that are on the food, which is true. However, there is no evidence that the enzymes that are on the food or in the food help us with our own digestion. Really, any enzymes that would be on the food would also be denatured once they get into your stomach, where it's really, really acidic. I don't know, I'm not very compelled with this, and especially because the whole thing is supposed to be, this raw vegan diet is supposed to be healthier.
There are people that would respond to that saying, well, maybe raw vegan till 4 is the diet for you.
Well, our good friend Frilly the Banana Girl was actually the inventor, according to her website, of the raw till 4 diet. This is also known as the high raw vegan diet.
Love the marketing.
I think no one's explained to me. I can't find anything that says like 4 o'clock is when your body
Can do things.
Yeah,
right?
I don't get it.
What we eat in a day as high raw vegans started the day with this gorgeous pink custard apple. Then I broke open this 9-kilo jackfruit. We ate half. At the beach, we snacked on a pineapple. For lunch, we had a banana and ice cream with date and peanut butter. For dinner, we ate sweet potato with salad and cashew dressing.
Looks delicious, to be honest.
It does. You can see with this person, they're having their raw food for like most of the day with their fruits and stuff like that, and then in the evening time, they're having their meal with like the cooked sweet potatoes. So that's like pretty on par for what they say it is. You know, either the raw till 4 or the high raw vegan diet. What's better about this diet than the regular schmegular raw vegan diet is that it does allow a little bit more flexibility and versatility in the diet, which means more access to nutrients.
Might be a better way to go.
I would say if you're considering a raw vegan diet for whatever reason, if it's health-based, I don't know how based on fact that is, but the high raw vegan or the raw till 4 vegan is a better option because it does allow more versatility and flexibility. And that's the thing, is with these really restrictive diets, you are always at a risk of nutrient deficiency. And that's my concern for these people.
Well, this is where the Ostrovegans have the answer for you.
The Ostrovegans is interesting.
I have never heard of this.
I've never heard of this
I
either.
cannot believe this is a thing.
Ostrovegans are vegans who don't eat any animal products except for bivalve mollusks. So that's things like clams, mussels, oysters.
And the rationale behind that is that while these are sentient creatures, that they might be kind of lowest on the totem pole and therefore are maybe not really likely to have some of those empathetic responses or kind of emotional capacity, and that therefore, you know, especially looking at it from the perspective of the vegan philosophy of not doing harm, that perhaps these types of creatures can be eaten without necessarily imposing harm on them.
I do see the rationality behind it when we're thinking about like the vegan diet and the reasoning behind it, because the whole thing is that they don't really have a central nervous system. They probably can't feel pain or anything like that. They don't have a higher order or level of thinking. I saw people on Reddit basically say like this is no different from eating a plant.
Non-Ostrovegans, like just the legit, they seem to not necessarily approve of Ostroveganism being a legitimate form of veganism.
Also though, who are we to talk? We are not vegans.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm saying that they think this.
There's some controversy. There's some beef in the community.
There's some beef.
There's
no
beef.
The benefit of Ostrovegans and including those types of mollusks and stuff is that at least you are going to be getting some omega-3s, some protein, iron, zinc, and vitamin B12.
Which those are big nutrients of concern for a lot of vegans. If you're following a vegan diet and you are concerned about, you know, getting those nutrient intakes in, perhaps this is something to consider if you feel like you're at risk of deficiency.
Next, let's talk about Freegans.
Freegans are my favorite type.
I love this idea. Essentially, it is a lifestyle and ideology that's all about minimizing waste and actually living off of discarded or unused food items.
We are Freegan. This is all from the bin. We have a zero waste policy. We feed our community of 30 volunteers. And what we don't eat, we feed to our 250 plus rescue animals. Happy humans, happy animals, and happy planet.
And while that might sound gross, in Canada, like, it's disgustingly appalling how much food waste we experience. I think there was a study from 2022 that found that 63% of the food that's thrown away by Canadians could have been eaten.
It is disgusting. And I think that this Freegan mentality really takes the philosophical points of the vegan diet of, you know, reducing harm to the environment, reducing waste, and it really applies it in a way that I think is really cool.
For people to be saying, hey, we're not going to participate in that type of consumerism, we're just going to take advantage of all the foods that are being thrown out for no reason. Could I do it? No. But I so appreciate that there are people that are doing this.
We have been talking about like the little controversies within the vegan communities, and so there actually are some Freegans who do consume animal products if those animal products are going to go to waste. I was on Reddit reading. This is probably one of the biggest beefs within the vegan community is that veganism or not. Some people who are vegan really believe in like the sanctity of like animals, and you know, you would never take a human carcass and eat it, therefore you shouldn't do that with animals. Whereas other people believe, well, no, really, if we put all of these inputs into raising this animal and then we let it go to waste and further contribute to environmental damage, that's worse.
You know what's interesting? Like right before you said all of that, I think I was in the camp of like, well, if it's going to waste, isn't it better to just eat it? But as you were talking, it occurred to me, because it's true, humans were, for the most part, other than the people that are apparently creepy and have weird fetishes, but most people, we're quite respectful of dead bodies, like dead human bodies. There does seem to be maybe a double standard when it comes to that. So I guess I can see both perspectives.
I can see both perspectives as well. Because of my view of the way that I want my body to be treated, I think that if we're gonna put the resources in, if you are getting it for free and it's not contributing to increasing the demand for something and increasing the production of animal products, I think that it's better than that product then going to waste and all of those inputs going to waste and then creating more carbon emissions. As much as we're like, we love Freegans, this is such a great way to live, this is really like putting your values into action, there are some serious risks.
I would consider myself to be kind of a germaphobe, and I mean that lightly, like not super literally. Honestly, like, so I've always been like that, and then in our dietetic education, like having had to take food science courses that involve like talking about contamination and foodborne illnesses and all of that, that's just gotten amped up, like to the point where I'm like, I get sketched out sometimes, like going to people's homes to eat food. I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's definitely been sitting out in the danger zone for 4 hours.
So, I mean, this is why I don't know if I could ever kind of go into a garbage can. The concern here is, while a lot of foods that can be eaten get thrown out, by the time it's in the garbage, the risk of contamination with other expired foods, mold, bacteria, all of that obviously goes up quite high. That being said, I'm not really sure how they're navigating that.
I think there's certain things that I probably could eat, like anything packaged. I mean, like dry packaged goods. We have to consider there's risk of contamination, which you can't always see, risk of foodborne illness, and I know a lot of people like to do like the sniff test. Again, you can't always rely on that.
Also, I think this is a situation of like beggars can't be choosers, so can we guarantee a nutritionally adequate diet through this approach? Probably not.
And I don't think there's that many people who only rely on this, but there are a few people who only rely on Freeganism. This might mean that you might have to make some sacrifices when it comes to the quality of your diet.
Okay, so having done 4 weeks of plant-based, 2 weeks of vegan, how are you feeling now in terms of next steps?
I think I will do a lot more plant-based meals in my life. Because I grew up here, it's always like, what are you having for dinner? Chicken and rice, or this and this. I've come to realize like it's not hard.
I think for me, it's just about reframing what my default is. My default doesn't have to be a meat dish. I love beans and stuff too, and they make really tasty dishes, and they don't have to take more time, like especially if you're using things like canned products. They can be just as easy, just as delicious, and cheaper,
and they freeze really well. So I think that like going forward, I'm gonna definitely have a lot more plant-based foods in my diet. Breakfast and lunch were always plant-based, but it was like dinner was like, oh, of course I'm gonna have meat for dinner. Am I gonna become a vegan right now? No.
I'm not quite there yet.
I'm not there yet.
My goal isn't to be a perfect vegan. My goal is to just minimize my impact and contribution to that industry.
I think that's kind of a theme that we've seen a lot. I think we have this limiting thing of like all or nothing mindset. You don't really need to have an all or nothing mindset. It's do what you can, because doing something, no matter how small it is better than doing nothing.
Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a video, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.